Hi, I'm Shanti, the artist behind Shanti Fine Arts. This is my third painting for the Durga Puja series. This time around the year in India, we celebrate Durga Puja or Navratri, and it is celebrated in different phases in different parts of the country. But the main theme is the victory of good over evil. One of the ways it is celebrated in the northern parts of India is by burning an effigy of the demon and celebrating the victory of good over the demon. So I'm trying to depict that image in this painting today. So today's acrylic painting is about Ravan Dahan.
For the background, I started by covering the whole canvas with a light shade of yellow. And then I kind of found out what my central point will be and started with white in the center and then kept on mixing a lot of yellows. I'm using two different kinds of yellows here, cad yellow and a little bit of yellow oxide. More of the cad yellow I'm using. And then as I'm slowly moving away and the circle is getting bigger, I'm adding more and more cad red to my cad yellow and making it orange and slowly going towards red. And at the very edges, I will also pull in some raw umber and purple to my red to give the edges, make the edges really dark. And in fact, you can also add a little bit of black at the very edges. I avoided black in this painting for the edges because I thought it might make it a little bit too dark for my liking. So this was the first layer. Now you will see me go over the same process in 2 or 3 layers. I often do that with acrylics, the reason being the acrylics dry fast, so in the first layer you may or may not get a smooth blend. So if you're going towards a smooth blend and a darker, richer color, then obviously you need to have a few coats of acrylics. And that is how you will get smooth. Now in this particular background, I did not go for a very smooth background because a lot of the background will be covered with elements on top of it. But you can go as smooth or as rough as you want to be. Either ways work. There is no right or wrong about this. And this background is actually very versatile. I put elements of the festival of Dusshera on it, but you can put 2 owls on it or a raven and make it a Halloween painting, or you can just convert it into a sunrise sunset kind of painting. It can be used in so many different ways as your heart pleases. So that's something to think about if you do not even want to do the entire painting, or if you do not care for the entire painting, at least the background should be useful for several other paintings. So you can see that, just like I said a little bit earlier, I am going over the same color pattern quite a few different times. Now in between the different layers, you might want to let the paint dry completely. Otherwise, when you add additional layers or more paint, especially in the darker areas, it might lift off some of the older layers, which is happening in my case because I was getting impatient and adding layers while they were still partly wet. So you might want to let that completely dry. Once the layer is completely dry, I roughly drew the face of the demon head. It's kind of it is a face of a demon. His name is Ravan, as per Indian mythology from the epic Ramayana, and he has 10 heads. That's kind of speciality of this demon, and I sketched that out with my graphite pencil, and then I sketched the entire thing out with a mix of raw umber and purple with my brush. Now I have used 2 different kinds of purple in the painting, prism violet and dioxazine purple, but I'm not sure exactly when I've used which of the colors, but either ways it works. Even if you have any one of those, that would work. And even if you want to do it with just raw umber, that will work as well. I mean, it doesn't have to be hard and fast. So you see, I'm just drawing out the general shape and outline of the face. I am not really very I'm not very used to drawing faces of men or demons, so this was kind of one of my first attempts, and I kind of enjoyed doing this a lot. Next are the body of Ram, who is the god and who is the archer who is going to kill the demon Ravan with a fiery arrow. I am creating his body with a silhouette painting. So I am filling out the drawing with a mix of purple and blue and adding a little bit of gray to it to make it really dark. A lot of people for their silhouette paintings use straight up black, which is fine in my opinion, because I'm going to go ahead and glaze a few colors here and there to get the effect of light and dark. So you can do that as well, but I do not like to use straight up black anywhere. It tends to dull the painting a little bit, so it's up to you. If you want to do something like this, a silhouette painting on top of this, some other silhouette as well on this background would look very nice, like a dancing figure or a couple, anything would look very nice on this background. So on to the demon face. What I did, I followed a pattern. I did the foreheads all whitish and the shadow areas I mixed a little bit of purple and blue for the white, and the rest of the face I did a brown skin tone, and for the shadow areas I mixed up umber purple, and around the eyes I put a lot of red color, and I made very big bold mustaches to give the demon a demonic look, I guess. It was very enjoyable for me to do such this face, because I've never done such a thing, and it was kind of all my imagination. I have never seen a face like this in real life, and I'm more inclined to realism, but it was really fun to do a face that could look like this, but that doesn't really exist. That's all surrealism is about, and I am very keen on fantasy and surrealism and mythology, history, and all that stuff. So it just appeals to my impression. And this painting depicts the Ram Navami, or rather the Dussehra festival. In northern parts of India, it is celebrated, just like I said in the introduction, by burning an effigy of the demon Ravan, symbolically symbolizing the victory of God or Lord Ram over evil Ravan. So that's what I am heading towards, and you can see that all of the heads I follow the same pattern, like gold colors in the crown, and the face the same way, the eyes the same way, and bold dark mustache and eyebrows, crooked eyebrows, and lots of red marks around the eyes, and on the forehead like a image of a demon and all that. And that's what my basic criteria. And another thing, you will see that the main face, the central face, I did with a lot of detail. As I moved away from the central face towards the side faces, I kept on reducing the amount of details to kind of give the circular image and image of the face going away from the light. So the sides of the face that is towards the right, since it is away from the light and it's the redder side, it is much darker than the face than the faces on the left side. But in either case, I have reduced the amount of details I have painted as I've moved away from the main central face. So that's another thing. If you want to do something like this, where there is a central area or a central figure, and then there are many figures around it, you might want to create some changes or some random patterns, or make it look more interesting by varying the amount of detail you put in each area. You can see that while I painted the faces around the bow, a few times the bow actually got a little bit of color, but it does not matter. It's acrylic, so you can go over the same color and find out the details that you have lost in the previous layers. Just like I mentioned a little bit ago, for the faces that are far away from the central part of the body of the demon, I'm not going into much details, just a hint to show that it's the similar kind of face, but not a lot of details. That keeps the whole painting more interesting and makes the viewer understand where to look at, because you want to guide the viewer's attention where is the central point, focal point of the painting. So the last few details, or rather last few impressions of face, and then around the figure of the Ram, or the flying archer in that case, I am adding a little bit of red and oranges just to make it look like their body is reflecting some of the surrounding colors. That makes the silhouette look a part of the painting instead of just a blob of black color or blob of dark color. So if you're doing a silhouette painting, you might want to add a little bit of the surrounding colors on the sides, carefully following the pattern from light to dark to give this impression. It really adds a lot of dimension to the painting or the silhouette in general, and makes it look more realistic. The last bit would be going around in the smaller areas of the bow and arrows and cleaning up the details. So what I've done is I've gone around the black areas and painted some white first, and then gone over the white areas and painted with some yellows and orange to make it look seamless with the background, as well as get the fine details really nicely done, and take away all the imperfections when I first painted out the silhouette with black. Not everything was really nice and perfect, but this was my attempt to make it more perfect in the later run, adding the little final details on the painting. And then I'm creating a little bit of flame like look. I already have a couple of tutorials where I have painted flames of fire, and you can check them out for more details on that. So what I'm doing is some randomized circular and elliptical shapes that look like fire, going from varying different colors and different shades of yellow, orange, red, and white, and that gives the impression of the fire burning the demon. So that is all about the painting and a little bit of the mythology. Hope you liked the painting. Let me know whether you liked it or not in the comments, and whether you want me to do more of these mythology inspired paintings. And don't forget to give me a like and subscribe.